Living Local Carolina with Katie Turner. Local trends, shopping, dining, and more. This is Living Local Carolina.
Well, thanks for joining us today. We have a little bit of a different segment that we are doing. I'm joined by Miguel Brown, who's normally behind the camera. Miguel, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. We really just wanted to show you guys who Miguel was. He does so much for our team here at Living Local Carolina, and I want you guys to be able to get to know him as well. So, Miguel, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got to be here at Living Local Carolina?
My background started. I graduated from the Art Institute of Charleston, got a film degree in 2014, and then I started at News 2 as a senior video editor, and that's where we worked together in Charleston. I've been there for a few years, and then I Nexstar created the Living Local show, and I wanted to do LLC, and then a position happened to open up back in 2022 here in Myrtle Beach, and I applied here, and lo and behold, here you are in Myrtle Beach from Charleston.
Who would have thought?
Exactly.
Well, tell me, what is it about the job that you enjoy most?
The most I enjoy about this job is the creativity, because with news, there's no creativity. There's straight, hard edits or quick shoots.
You're trying to get things out as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah, and it's a lot. LLC is a lot more funner. And the happy news versus the sad news that everybody pretty much hates.
True.
Yeah.
For those who maybe don't know, why don't you talk a little bit about your job and what it entails on a daily basis?
So my job entails, as obviously I'm behind the scenes, setting up the camera, making sure that everything is lit properly, making sure that the guests and even Katie is mic'd properly, checking the levels of the audio, bringing the footage back to the station, ingesting everything for Katie to also edit, and also for myself, depending on the projects. We divide the projects up together.
We're a two-man band.
Yes. And I actually edit the shows, put the shows together. I kind of give her a little more editing because she loves to edit.
I do.
And I love to edit too, but it's definitely great.
And you also have been doing a little bit more of the producing aspect of this job. You actually look for segments, you're going out in the community, you're making the calls and finding people to come on the show. So what has that been like, kind of expanding your role over the last year?
Expanding my role has been, great. I actually enjoyed calling folks and saying, hey, would you like to do LLC, a nonprofit? And a lot of people either get nervous or they're super excited, and it's great to give a lot of folks that type of exposure.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You've been able to see quite a bit over the last year. Lots of different segments, lots of different businesses. You've gotten to meet a ton of people. Is there anything that stood out to you?
One of the fun things was the Low Country Flying Club. I never thought I was really that much afraid of heights until we hopped into the small plane. I hopped into the small plane and getting shots of us flying around the Myrtle Beach area. But it was different, very different from being in a very large commercial plane versus to a private. Our plane was behind another plane and feeling that jet engine just causing the plane to jump, and I'm freaking out. Even though you can't see it on camera, I'm behind the scenes freaking out with the camera. I can't look down.
You're keeping it steady though.
Keeping it steady.
The best you can.
The best I can until the shaking of the plane stopped, and I was like, I can actually film now.
Yeah, I will not be going in the air anytime soon. I'm glad that Miguel was able to do that, but I'm gonna have to hard pass on that. You also got to meet Mr. Thomas, the stick man. We got to do a segment with him. He was absolutely wonderful. And it's being able to highlight people like that I think really, really make this job so special.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
This story is sponsored by Mind Zero. Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning on Living Local Carolina. I'm back at Mind Zero again today, and I'm joined by Nelson. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It's great to have you here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you have a very interesting story of why you started going to Mind Zero. Can you tell everybody why you started?
Well, I had an aggressive goal to ride 20,000 miles on my bike last year, and I started coming to Mind Zero to help me with recovery because of the proven physiological benefits of heat and cold exposure, and it was integral in my recovery in order to achieve my athletic goals. But it's also community and helps with mindset and a positive environment. So it helps other than just physiological benefits. So it's been fantastic. I liked it so much, I became an investor.
I love that.
Yep.
So for people that don't know, it is both a cold plunge and a sauna. This is a very controlled environment, and it doesn't take very long either.
No, your general sessions are a little under an hour. And depending on whether it's morning or evening, you'll do 2 or 3 10-minute sessions in the sauna and a couple of sessions in the cold plunge between. But we also have open sessions which are more free-form, and you can go at your own guided pace and challenge yourself for even longer cold plunges, which for me, for muscle recoveries, the longer cold plunges, that's actually beneficial. I've tweaked muscles, whatever, and done cold plunges and had the pain go away in 24 hours. It's magical and healing.
So this is really important in the cycling that you do because you're doing quite a number of miles. Can you tell everybody how many miles you did last year?
I rode a little over 20,000 miles, which is an average of 55 miles a day, and so almost 400 miles a week. There were several weeks where I did over 500 over the course of the year. So,
wow.
And I achieved my goal on Christmas Eve by doing a 142-mile ride.
Wow. This story is sponsored by Mind Zero. Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Living Local Carolina. Today I'm joined in the studio with Charles from Long Bay Symphony. How are you doing?
Just fine, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm the music director of the Long Bay Symphony, which is this region's professional orchestra. And you know, it's funny because as much as we've been around, I think, gosh, it's, and now I can't remember exactly, it's our 36th, 37th season. Wow. They're going to kill me in the office for not remembering the exact year. But we've been around a while, but for a cultural institution, it's not that long. And since people are, you know, it's so transient, people are constantly moving into this area from primarily the Northeast or the Charlotte area or wherever. And it's amazing how, in spite of all we do, people don't know they have a professional symphony orchestra in town. Yeah. So we do, of course, our traditional subscription concerts, classical things, and try to make that as varied as possible using, you know, ballet dancers and, you know, just as much variety as we can. But our biggest thrust over the past several years has been to do more diverse programming and more outreach. So we've done things like the New Year's Eve concert that we do and a gala, to, of course, Messiah performances in December. Also a Gullah to Gospel program involving a mass gospel choir in March. We've done patriotic war and peace concerts for the past several years over Veterans Day weekend. And so we're just out there in the community reaching all segments of the community, with a lot of those concerts being free, sponsored by the Chapin Foundation and other organizations. So that's kind of our mission, is to be out there and be a part of this community. And it's amazing, invariably after a concert, I'll have someone come up to me and say, "Oh, this was amazing. I had no idea we had a professional orchestra in this area." Which is sort of why I'm here today.
Yeah, we're spreading the word.
Yeah.
And these are talented musicians that deserve to, get some spotlight on them.
Our musicians basically play in orchestras throughout the region, in the South Carolina Philharmonic, Wilmington, Charleston, all of the general area, and they just travel. A lot of them are professors at universities or, So it's, you just go where the activity is.
I love it.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Well, thanks again for joining us today on Living Local Carolina. I'm joined in studio by Billy, who is from Day One, Week One. How are you doing, Billy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. All right, let's get right into it.
Okay.
Tell me about your organization.
So in June 9th of this year, 2023, I had an idea to start a nonprofit for first responders and veterans. The suicide rate across our country is astronomical. I did a little bit of research, and it's not hard to find over 450 first responders killed themselves last year in 2022. And that doesn't account for the 6,000 veterans that have killed themselves since the wars have started in 2001. There's a passion and a heavy burden on my heart to stop my brothers and sisters from killing themselves. So I started the nonprofit. It's called Day One, Week One. What we're doing is we're providing a platform for them on our podcast to come and tell their stories. They talk about their traumatic experiences, how they got through those, what their support system looked like, the people that they've reached out to, and some of those people they didn't reach out to when they were in dark places. My personal story of 2 years ago, I was in that frame of mind of suicide. I'd gone through a kind of not a traumatic event, but a traumatic experience in my career. And I felt like I had lost my identity. And with losing that identity and losing the touch of the people in my support system, I didn't feel like there was another place to go. Thankfully, my wife, being as incredible as she is, reached out after I called her and told her that today's a bad day. She reached out to a friend of ours who was an elder in our church. Within minutes, he arrived at my house. And he got out of the car and he kind of gave me a little smirk, but he did something that literally changed my life. He put his hand on the back of my neck and he put his head to my head. He said, "I'm not going to let you do this today. We're doing this together. So for every day that you need me here, I'm going to be here." And it changed my life. The physical touch in that moment, that's what we're missing. That's what we've lost over the years. So Day One, Week One wants to bring that back. My goal is to have a mental health triage group that can self-deploy into these situations. I'm not talking about having them in a situation where they're going to put themselves in danger or anyone else. They're not going to go to an active situation. It's going to be someone that reaches out and says, "Hey, I need help." They're going to deploy. They're going to go where they are. Unlike a 911 or a crisis center where they would just talk to them on the phone and kind of consider their resources, they're going to deploy to where they are. "Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's go get a sandwich. Let's talk about what's going on," and then make that connection. And the triage part of it will be to find out exactly what they need and get them the resources that they need from that.
I love it. Okay. How can people listen to your podcast or learn more information?
So all you got to do is go to dayoneweek1.org. Obviously, we're taking donations. The big thing about the donations is we're obviously still building this organization. So there's costs, startup costs, there's different things, application fees, things like that go along with it. But eventually, when all of those things are complete, the plan is that we're going to start sponsoring first responders, helping to pay for some of their medical bills, their seeking mental health bills, their counseling and things like that. The best way to reach out, you can go to any platform. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, TikTok, Truth Social, Getter. We've just opened up we've opened up all of the avenues so that you can't really miss us, hopefully, out there. And we want to make sure that everybody's understanding and knowing that Day One, Week One is here.
Don't forget to like our page on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. How to use the QR code. Just open the camera app on your smartphone, iPad, or tablet. Point your device at the QR code so the QR code appears on your screen. Your device will recognize the QR code and show you a notification. Click that notification and you'll come to our website. Living Local Carolina, weekday mornings at 9:30 on WBTW News 13.